week 1 Strong Mom Club challenge, and we are going to document this journey. So it's a 12-week challenge. Our goal is to do this every year. It's for the mamas, right? We want to be strong moms. So my original goal was to treat this as kind of like a bodybuilding prep. I really wanted to kind of have a weight loss transformation. I am breastfeeding, so the last kind of 6 weeks I've learned that I cannot be too aggressive with my diet. We are still going to train hard, and I'm just kind of regrouping. So my goal is just body composition. I want to try to continue to build muscle, continue to build my strength. I want to kind of document my journey, you know, show you how I train, cardio, and just treat this as a cool time to document my postpartum journey. So today we're going to work through a hamstring and glute workout. So I'm warming up right now. I do 10 minutes typically on the treadmill. You can do the bike, stairs, whatever you want to do, just to get the blood flowing. And then I typically foam roll, do a little bit of mobility work, get these muscles loosened up, and then we're going to get started. Okay. I am obsessed with mobility work. I neglected it for a lot of years, and now it is my top priority, because if you're not actually engaging the muscles and the joints, your workout's not going to be as effective. So I always focus on my spine. Today we are training glutes and hamstrings, so I'm going to focus on a lot of lower body with the foam rolling today, as well as show a couple reflex points specifically for the glutes and hamstrings. All right, we're chatting mobility. Something I have really gotten into is RPR training, which is reflex performance reset, which means there are certain areas that are reflex points to activate certain muscles. So today we're doing glutes and hamstrings. Your glute activation is actually right here on the back of your neck, and you're just gonna rub this for like 30 seconds to a minute. I have one of these gua shas, if that's how you say it. I like to use this and just kind of help get a little bit extra. Do that, you can switch sides, and this genuinely helps activate your glute muscles. There's a lot of girlies who struggle with this. I was one of them. This has helped so much. You're gonna realize how tight you actually are. Now for hamstrings, those reflex points are actually right here at the bottom of your spine, kind of like at this little, I don't know, scrunch on your leggings. And same thing, we're just gonna rub circles right here. You might feel some stiff spots. You might wanna take this little tool, kind of rub them out, activate them. Sometimes I like to stretch my hamstrings a little bit while we're hitting those spots. Okay, today's first exercise is a lying hamstring curl. If you have a gym that has an actual lying hamstring curl machine, you can do this with both legs, you can do it single leg. I don't have that machine at home, so I found this awesome variation with the cables. You do have to do it single leg, which is great. You get really, really good engagement and stretch with the cables, but you just want to set the bench up far enough away to where you can get a full stretch on your hamstring. You will need some ankle straps, some ankle cuffs. And what I want you to think while you are curling is pushing your hip into this flexor. So we don't want to arch our back to help pull. If you're doing that, you're going too heavy, lighten the weight. We want this quad flat against the bench and just isolating this hamstring. What I like to think is my hamstring is kind of like a triangle. This sounds funny, but the tip of that triangle is at the bottom of this glute right here. The two bottom points of the triangle are on either side of your knee. So if you're thinking about your knee, the bottom of the triangle going toward that top point of the glute, that's gonna help you keep that full hamstring muscle contracted the whole time. If you're ever doing single exercises, single arm, single leg, make sure you're resting 30 to 60 seconds between each leg, between each side, so that you are giving your body's ATP levels time to restore, which means you're gonna have energy for that next side. Another variation for a single leg standing curl is if you have a leg extension machine. I'm short, so I need the step underneath. But I'm gonna show you how you can do a standing leg curl machine if you have a leg curl machine at home or in your gym. You just are gonna prop up and curl one leg at a time. You kind of want this at your ankles. If it goes a little bit lower, that's comfortable. And just curl, bringing your Achilles straight up into this under glute right here. Not gonna lie, most of the time I'm rushing through these workouts a lot faster while the baby is either A, sleeping, or B, in the gym with me, keeping her occupied. But thankfully, Grandpa is helping us babysit today, so we can get our workout done for you guys. Second exercise, we are going to do a lengthened exercise for our hamstrings and our glutes. And what I mean by that is your hamstrings and your glutes are going to get the most load at the bottom of the exercise when they are in a lengthened position. So the leg curls that we just did, those were in a shortened position. I try to alternate when I'm writing programming, lengthened, shortened exercises. The barbell RDLs are gonna be a lengthened one. I typically train without my shoes on, my gym, my rules. The purpose of that is so I can actively engage my feet. This is another thing I wish I knew years ago, you guys. Leg day is feet training day. If you are not working from the floor up, you are not properly engaging all those muscles, especially the glutes, which is what we are always trying to target. So, RDLs are a very tricky exercise when it comes to your body's positioning, and a lot of people feel these in their lower back. So in order to not feel these in your lower back, what you want to think is you are gripping your feet against the ground. I had a trainer tell me, pretend your feet are literally being pulled down from hell. We are going up to heaven, but your feet are being pulled down from hell, okay? They're actively pressing against the ground. What you want to do is, as your feet are being pulled down, you are just going to fall forward, keeping a slight bend in your knees. You don't want to lock those out hardcore. Soft bend here. You're going to let yourself dive forward while keeping your spine and chin and neck neutral. Kind of just let your gaze fall to the floor in front of you, and then you are going to push your feet to stand back up. So we're going to do these as a single leg, which means I'm going to stand in a B stance here. A B stance is just, this is the working leg. These toes are going to be kind of like a kickstand. We're gonna let ourselves kind of fall forward just below the knee. Push those toes, push those Achilles heels into the ground, back up to standing. Okay, I'm gonna go heavier on this next set. So we're gonna use some accessories to help. First, we're gonna use our Aesthetics vice grips. They're gripped like this. The bar is gonna go here. I have weak wrists and hands. I'm just a small person. Legs are really strong, wrists are not. So we're gonna help with the grip strength, and we are gonna wear a weight belt. So there's a lot of controversy on a weight belt. No, you do not need to wear a weight belt for every single exercise. Most exercises are gonna be your big compound lifts, squats, deadlifts. I'm gonna use them for a hinged RDL, or even any kind of like overhead press you want more stability. Now, the goal is we are still controlling our core. You want to breathe into the belt. So I like to think when I'm doing hinged kind of motions like this, I have a belly button in the front. I also have a belly button in the back, and that sounds so weird. But you want to think about breathing in and out into both belly buttons as you're also breathing out, like almost like a exercise ball, like 360 degrees. You're going to engage your core, and that right there is what the belt is for, to help that support and that spine control. So the goal is to get strong, not injured. So we're gonna use some assistance on this next lift. Nothing like getting a spam call in the middle of your workout. It's like running with no headphones. I don't run anymore. We're kidding. Okay. Going to be an adduction, which is these inner thigh muscles right here. I personally like to do them on a hamstring day because I feel like it helps target this inner thigh, inner hamstring really well. So that's when I like to toss these in. Now, I don't have an adduction machine, right? The one where you sit and you're trying to avoid eye contact with everybody else in the gym. But I do have 3 separate variations, 2 of them which you can do at home gym, or a gym if you don't have that machine. Okay, now we get the stroller in the back because this is now my life, right? So we are going to use a glute slide. This machine is pretty cool. Obviously, most people don't have this, but what I want to show you is how I am going to hit my adductors. I'm trying to stabilize both legs, and I'm gonna try to go slow as I can and really, really, really work these inner thighs. Variation you can do home gym. I don't know if you'd want to do this in the gym, but you can. Is gonna be a single leg abduction, but with this band, you're just gonna do one leg at a time. One leg down is going to stabilize. This working leg, you want to be able to get a full stretch and pull toward the center. So again, you're working this inner thigh muscle right here. They get heavy fast, so if you need to support yourself with this hand right here, you just want to feel this muscle working and engaging. Those are very humbling. Okay, last variation of the abduction, we're going to use this bench right here. Very humbling. You only need body weight for these. You're going to prop your working leg up here, and you're going to hit a side plank. Now, ideally, you are kind of hooking this leg and you're not using any weight on this bottom leg, and you're doing like a plank dip, but you're gonna work this adductor right here. You can prop this leg down and do a modified version. You're still gonna work this adductor right? This is just a modified variation. So beginner level, this is gonna be advanced. They get really heavy really fast. So another one you can do at home. All right, this exercise is a hyperextension, reverse hyperextension. So again, this is a hamstring and glute exercise. Just how we kind of talked about that triangle before with our hamstring, from the knees to underneath this glute here. I kind of want you to think this same thing, except this time your hips are the bottom of the triangle. The top of the triangle is going to be your feet coming to that point. So you really want to keep your hips squared, pushed up against the mat. These 2 points stay center and your feet are working toward the point, keeping this tailbone tucked under between your legs. So when you're swinging your legs up, you want to be careful not to arch. Again, if you're arching, drop the weight, lower the weight. Let's focus on engagement. You want to kind of tuck that tailbone under. Think about keeping these hips stable and the feet are just coming straight back. Now we're going to show the same variation of this exercise if you don't have the machine with a bench and a dumbbell. So you're going to want a pretty light dumbbell. Okay, same concept applies. Hips forward, feet going straight back. It's a little bit tricky to do this, but you're gonna squeeze the dumbbell in between your feet. Kind of get yourself hips hinge over the edge and squeeze. If you can, kind of try to prop it up in between your ankles. Depending on the dumbbell that you have, my dumbbell, I can kind of rest it on my heels a little bit. I could definitely go a little bit heavier on these, but for demonstration purposes, this is how you can do your reverse hyperextension. But we're gonna do our last exercise here. This is just a simple seated leg curl. All right, we're gonna put the legs up here. This you want smashed down as tight as possible. Lengthwise, you do want the pad like just about at your Achilles here. Same thing, we're gonna kind of think that triangle, right? So now our triangle points are our heels and our Achilles. I really started paying attention to my calves and my Achilles heels. When we pull them in, the tip of the triangle is kind of at our tailbone, right? So we're 2 points here on the triangle. We're pulling them in and back. And again, do not and arch your back like this. If you're arching, you're too heavy, drop that weight, tuck that tailbone, and pull that triangle in just until your knees are almost locked out. You do want to keep a slight bend to keep that tension in the hammies. Slow on the eccentric, and then pull in and breathe. Inhale, exhale, pull in. This 12-week challenge, again, like I said, my goal can't necessarily be fat loss and weight loss like I originally wanted it to, but that doesn't mean I can't be consistent, and that doesn't mean I can't be dialed in and dedicated. Like, yes, my macros might not be super deficit, but that doesn't mean I can't stick to them, right? So I'm gonna avoid all those extra bites, alcohol. I'm not really drinking much anyways. Again, I'm breastfeeding, but just avoiding all those extras, getting my cardio done, getting my workouts done no matter what. There are nights where we are not sleeping good. It's really hard. It's really hard to get out here, but I know I'm gonna feel so much better when I do. I know that if I'm committed to myself, I'm gonna be more committed to my family and be a better mom, be a better wife, coach, business owner, all the above. So we show up for ourselves. It may not always look beautiful and perfect, but it's always better than nothing. So we're gonna finish up these hammies. Finishing out today's lift with some low intensity cardio. My favorites are either incline walking or the Stairmaster. I do hop on the Peloton bike every now and then. That's a little bit more moderate intensity, but incline walking, I usually set a speed of about 3 to 3.2 miles per hour, incline 6 to 8% grade. Now, typically I will start my watch, start my workout for an indoor walk so I can gauge my heart rate. So, for low intensity cardio, the goal, I mean bodybuilding in general and the way I train my clients, is typically aesthetic versus performance. Yes, we're gonna improve our performance, our strength, our stamina, our endurance. However, for cardio purposes, the goal is fat loss, right? Burning extra calories in order to burn body fat, which means we wanna keep our heart rate under 65% of your max heart rate. So easiest way to find your max heart rate is 220 minus your age. So for me, for example, I'm almost 30. So we're gonna use 30. My max heart rate is 190 beats per minute. 65, so times 0.65. 65% of that means we're at 123.5, let's say 124 beats per minute. It's kind of where I wanna be. Right now, I'm at 125. So this is how you can gauge where to set your speed, where to set your incline, where to set your output for your cardio. The goal is I'm not going crazy right now. This is keeping body fat as our primary fuel source. 65 to 85%, that's gonna be your moderate intensity cardio. You will be using a mixture of fat and carbohydrate as your fuel sources. Anything above 85%, that's that high intensity output. Your primary fuel source is carbohydrates. So the goal is to use our carbohydrates for our weightlifting session. We're doing our cardio kind of in a fasted state. That low intensity is using body fat as our primary fuel source. So I am going anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes right now for my cardio sessions. Honestly, whatever the baby lets me get in. Grandpa's babysitting today, so we're gonna hit 30 minutes and make the most of it. Right now, my goal is to get 4 of those sessions in per week, post-workout. So, finishing our cardio today. Today's session, hamstrings, glutes, cardio. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.